A federal judge has found that using the Emergencies Act for the Freedom Convoy was a violation of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So what exactly does this mean? It should be noted that the justice involved is highly respected, and the case was not brought forward by freedom convoyers but instead by the Canadian Civil Liberties Association. It should also be noted that this is a lower court ruling, meaning that it can be appealed and overturned. So let's talk about why that might or might not happen. The ruling is extremely long and not everybody has had a chance to go through it, but one of the things that was noted is that the Alberta Coutts blockade was taken care of and cleared prior to invoking the Emergencies Act. This was essentially used as evidence pointing towards the fact that the federal government could have solved the Ottawa problem and the Windsor problem without the usage of the Emergencies Act. But the difference between Alberta and Ontario is that in Alberta, the police and the government there actually did their job. And in the judge's conclusion, they even say that they would have invoked the act if it was up to them. So the judge is basically saying, even though this is a violation of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, they would have done the same thing. And one of the reasons for this is because, once again, the province of Ontario did nothing to stop this. The city of Ottawa did nothing to prevent this. The police in Ottawa did nothing to stop it. And then Doug Ford basically went into hiding for a few weeks, which is ironic because Doug Ford was one of the only premiers who was an enthusiastic supporter of Trudeau invoking emergency powers, because this was Ford's responsibility and he did not want to act. He did not want to be a leader in that moment, which is why many people around Trudeau, including non-partisan, non-political actors, told Trudeau to invoke the Emergencies Act. It got so far that there were actually active talks with the Canadian Armed Forces about this. Trudeau did not make this decision lightly or willy-nilly. He made this decision because he had to. That does not mean that it is not a violation of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Will this be overturned on appeal or by a higher court? I think so. But I think the ruling is going to be very specific. Eventually, we will see that technically, in theory, using the Emergencies Act for this was a violation of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, but only because the province of Ontario and the city of Ottawa refused to act. When the local police and the provincial politicians refuse to do their jobs, the feds have to step in. But the feds didn't have the powers needed to do so without invoking the Emergencies Act. Long story short, if Doug Ford did his job, the Emergencies Act would have never been invoked in the first place, and I've been saying that for years.